Hey there, Built by Us listeners. Welcome back to another exciting episode of our podcast that explores the stories, triumphs, and challenges of the incredible entrepreneurs who are shaping the future of Lancaster County. I'm your co-host, Kirsten McWilliams, joined by Jamie Arroyo.
That's right. Today, we're diving into the world of family-owned businesses and culinary excellence. Our guest today is someone who has not only mastered the art of cooking, but has turned it into a family affair. Joining us in the studio is Emily Gonzalez, the proud owner of Gems Catering. Stay tuned and discover what inspired her to pursue the business venture and how she has scaled her business since its 2018 beginnings. Welcome, Emily. Thank you for joining us on the Built by Us podcast. Kick us off with, what is your origin or your superhero origin story as an entrepreneur?
Like how it all started. Yeah. So I would say that it all started back in 2018 when I decided to just leave my job. And the reason for that was because in the beginning, we had come to the agreement when I got hired that I was going to have the flexibility of putting my kids first. And anytime that I needed to be with my kids came first. And then, work came second. So the company grew for them, and that was fine. So they didn't give me time off to take vacation with my kids. And I was like, that's not for me, So I was like, okay, I need to figure this thing out. I am not going to be able to stay at a job like that because my kids' birthdays comes first. Their field trips come first, parent-teacher conferences come first. And if I'm being restricted from those things, then there's going to be a problem because they come first, not money. So I started plotting, and I'm like, okay, I need to figure something out. I need to figure something out. What can I do? So I did an in-home daycare for a bit. And that in-home daycare, I was still restricted because I had to be with other people's kids.
Right.
I did that for a few months, and I was like, I can't do this. My mom's husband at the time, he is a family friend, and he said, Emily, come sell food at our job. We have 70 guys that work there, and they love food. Yeah. They'll pay for food. And I'm like, he's like, you're already cooking all the time. I don't understand why you're not making money out of this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I started selling empanadillas on Fridays at their job, and they were buying. I mean, they loved them.
Yeah.
Pizza empanadillas, chicken empanadillas, and all kinds. And so that led to me having a conversation with my grandmother, who was like, hey, Emily, I retired and I'm bored at home. I am making platters at your aunt's job. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I'm making food platters like rice and beans and pork, and I'm having dessert with a drink on the side, and I'm charging this much. And I'm like, Ma, I can't believe I didn't think of that. And she was like, you should try it. And I'm like, 100%. So instead of just empanadillas, I started making platters as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I was selling 50, 60 platters on Fridays.
Wow.
It was insane. So I was only working on Fridays, and I'm like, I love this. I don't got to work all week. I'm with my kids all week long, and I could only work one day a week, and I'm making enough money. So it worked, and then people started asking me for aluminum foil trays of food, and they're like, hey, will you make a large amount of this?
Yeah.
Would you bring this to me, and how much would you charge me? And I'm like, I don't know how much to charge, but I learned in the process of doing it, and it grew to me catering to salons, and then from there, birthday parties, and then different events, and here I am today.
That's amazing.
I mean, that's awesome. The fast version of that, because I mean, it's insane to how we got here. I don't even understand it. I don't even know how I'm right here right now. To be honest, it's just, it's surreal to me, and I'm happy.
Yeah. I did a little lurking on your website, and it said you started in 2018. So it's crazy to see how much it has grown since then in 2023 to doing, small, empanadillas, to larger platters, to events and things like that.
So now only catering.
Yeah.
So I can't even have the storefront open at the moment because it's literally straight catering in there right now.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's that busy.
Now, tell us, is it just you or?
It's just me.
It's just you. Okay.
So it's just me, and I will spend 15 hours a day if I have to.
Wow.
I've done up to 300 guests a day. Wow. I've done 250. I've done 5 caterings in a day.
Wow.
And I am the main person cooking. 100%.
Wow.
I'll hire someone to do the delivery. I'll hire someone to do the cleanup, the setup, the serving for the day.
Yeah.
But I'm the one cooking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So before we get into some of the other questions, tell us the name of your business and how you came to that name.
So Gems Catering stands for Giselle, my daughter, who is 16, myself, Emily, and Michael, who is my son. He is 11 years old. And it all began by just wanting to incorporate them somehow into my business. And how can I do that with the thought of always having them present there? They don't like being there because they just don't like working for me. My son does. My daughter doesn't. So I always have them with me. So that's what GEM stands for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully they're like learning kind of tricks of the trade and, you know, learning under your wing. Maybe your son, has he shown any entrepreneurial interests or?
Oh, he always does. He'd be like telling me like, Ma, if I cook for you, or like, can I clean this, and how much money would I make, and you know, if I take out the trash, can I get $10, or you know, if I save this amount of money, I'll be able to do this with it. So he has that mentality. My daughter is an artist. She makes crocheting blankets. She makes artwork. She loves drawing. She is just very artistic. She's just in her path, and I'm 100% okay with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. You could totally blend those two. You know, I'm the marketing manager at Assets, so I'm already seeing the vision. Your son has the business mindset. Your daughter's the creative. They could blend that and help with your business. You know, so
she'll get there one day, and that's the goal. I hope that they can take over that one day, and that's what I would want. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Even blending the two together, because when I see the work that you do, I think that takes a lot of creativity in developing a menu, the meals that you make. So there is like this blend of business and creativity. How do you come up with some of the menu items? Is that based on the demand, or do you get creative and start offering some of your own dishes?
Well, it gets creative. So it's all like every customer and every client is individually treated differently, because in reality, like example, like Jamie, I would think that, you know, like your family might be Hispanic. So I will reach out to you and you're like, can you create something for me? And I might think of some ideas of things that we would have eaten sitting at a table being Hispanic. Or like if I have like my friend who is Mexican and she might be like, oh, Emily, I would love one of your Mexican dishes. And I'll tell her, you know, like this is a menu that I can create for you of things that I've done from that ethnicity that I've learned that I think will be a great idea to incorporate in that. Or, you know, every client for me would be treated differently. I can't, and every menu is different. So, and as many times as I think I'm done with my menu and I'm like, I think this is great, this is going well. And then I get another idea and I'm like, this food looks amazing. Let me try to make it. And then I make it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it tastes so good. I have to add that to the menu. And then a client might come to me and tell me like, hey, would you ever make this dish? And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. I've never made it, but can I try to make it and see if I feel comfortable making it again or creating it for you? And they trust me, and I'm glad they do, because I've been able to expand my menu from this little to it's unbelievably long right now. And I'm not done with it. I'm never done. Every month I add something or I adjust something to it. And I'm a traveler as well. So I like traveling and tasting new foods and incorporating that into my menu as well. So that's my way of getting creative with it. Nice. So like I've gone to Jamaica and I see the way they cook and the way that they set it up and the way that they display it and the colors and how they do it. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Thailand. And I don't just go and I'm having a blast. I'm there because I want to get creative. So the next place is Colombia. After Colombia, it's Trinidad, because I would love to incorporate that in my menu somehow. So it's more of like, what can I do next? I crave of what can I do next? What can I add? What can I incorporate? How can I switch it up, the flavors? Like, it's kind of like painting, but with food, if that makes any sense.
I like that.
And if you ever need taste testers,
I got you.
They're free.
Got it.
That's hilarious. You gotta mix the business and the fun, but you're also like, you're doing your researching. And so I like that.
You have to, because if not, it limits you.
Definitely.
And you'll be limited to what you're used to. I like getting out of my comfort zone.
Definitely.
I like understanding, like, what else can I do? How can I evolve to the next level? Because if not, we get stuck, and I don't like being stuck.
Right.
I can't see myself just being limited.
Yeah.
That's not in my vocabulary. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you paint a picture of a time where you, because you started in 2018, and between 2018 and now, you know, COVID happened, 2020, crazy year. So I'm curious, like, how did you navigate that time period?
It was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. And mind you, that was in the midst of, as well as, I had just moved into the place that I'm in, and I was in the beginning, technically still, because 2019 and then 2020, that's when COVID happened in the beginning. So I'm like, okay, like, this is not a good thing. There's no parties, there's no events, there's no gatherings. No one is allowed to do anything. So all restaurants were closed. Like, I was really limited. Thankfully, I got a friend of mine's that work at Costco, and he was able to get me a gig through them that got me enough that I was able to be okay for a bit.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like, we had the assistance that we were receiving. That thankfully got me through as well. So I was living very limited and minimalistic as much as possible. I think that year kind of taught me to be very minimalistic to the point that people are like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, outdoors. I'm outdoors hiking. I'm outdoors, you know, sitting in the sun. I'm outdoors in the grass. I'm enjoying the time with my kids and just trying to, what can I do without spending money? What can I do to survive without, you know, because it was rough. So that, I would say, being minimalistic was what got me through, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, that was key.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an entrepreneurial thing too, to be just very flexible, right? So regardless of what happens out, you have to be flexible on your lifestyle, business. What are you doing, selling? So was there anything that came out of COVID that you still do today?
I mean, I live a very minimalistic life. I'm happy with nothing because that taught me, you know, and I learned to be by myself. And I love that. A lot of people were like, oh, you know, like, I'm sad that there's no parties, there's no gatherings, nobody's allowed to be together. And I'm like, I'm loving every second of this. I am loving it. So I am still by myself. I travel by myself. I spend time by myself all the time. I still sit in the grass and do my work from my laptop in the fields. And if y'all ever follow my Instagram, you will notice I will be on fields. I just love being outdoors watching sunsets.
That's awesome.
I work while doing that, you know? So being active is something that I kept, and being minimalistic and being by myself. I think it made me very creative to do that, because I had to sit with myself for so long that it kind of just taught me, like, what can I do? What can I do to make money? What can I do to expand? What ways can I figure out my life? I mean, we were all isolated, you know? So yeah, I think that was it for me.
Yeah.
I think COVID did that for a lot of us, where it created space to think.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't do that. We're always busy. We're always doing things back to back.
Cluttered. Our brains are cluttered. So I feel like some people didn't know what to do with it. I was loving every second of it. The silence, the peace in the streets, the non-chaos when you're walking, the isolation of just peace and just kind of walking now, instead of, like, we're always on the go. We're always on the go. It was honestly a relieving feeling for me. Yeah.
And no traffic.
Yeah. The no traffic was amazing.
And no pollution too on top of that.
It was beautiful. Like, just the air. I mean, everything about it. I just loved it.
Yeah. Very transformational for everybody globally.
100.
Which was crazy.
Yeah.
You kind of took us into a peek of kind of what you do to stay creative, to stay grounded. Is there anything that you do to get yourself pumped or ready to go? You have all these catering jobs or tasks to do, and you're like, all right, let's go. It's go time. Do you like blast music? What's your thing?
Oh, I like being in silence.
Really? Okay.
I would be at my shop for like 10, 15 hours. I'll sometimes got to be there at like 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. in complete silence.
Wow. Okay.
And I like it.
Wow.
Because I'll toss myself. I know to some people that might be crazy, but to be honest, those are the best conversations I have. When I'm sitting, or like example, like I told you, you know, knowing that I got to come here, or like, you know, I'll speak to myself. Like those conversations for me are important. So, you know, example, like I'm going to do this event and this event is going to happen on this time. So if I prepare by this and if I got to make this list, Emily, make sure that you write this list down. So though I don't have a partner, I don't have someone who is like in the business with me. Yeah. I don't have someone at home, just my kids, which they don't want to listen to any of this. So a lot of conversations are within me. So I do that a lot. And I think being in the shop by myself for so long, it really gets me going of having those conversations. So I'll be cooking and I'm like, Emily, just do this by this time or finish by this time or make sure you write this down or take notes. And I like being in silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll listen to like rain sounds, which maybe puts people to sleep, but it just gets me calm in such a chaotic moment where I'm busy. Yeah. And it calms my heart down, so which I needed at times.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I
Plus
love
coffee.
the rain. Plus coffee.
Plus coffee, lots of coffee.
Yes. Lots of it.
I need coffee. So I smelled that from far away and I'm like, what was that? Yes. I live for coffee.
Yeah. Speaking of coffee, do you have any local favorite coffee spots around here in Lancaster?
So I enjoy Dolce Vita.
Okay.
They are one of my, but I think it's because they're pastries too.
Oh, I was going to say, I know why. You walk in there and it's just like, wait, what cake do I need today?
I love them. They're amazing. I'm more of a make my coffee at home.
Okay.
Because we grew up making it on agreca, and I'm not sure if people are familiar with it, but it's just like this metal thingy that you make the espresso in it.
With the sock.
Yes. So I feel
it's
like
not a sock, by the way.
I am so, it's not a sock, but you know, we know what it is. Yeah. So when you're used to drinking coffee that way, and then you go to the store and like get a regular cup of coffee, it's never going to be the same. Life will never be the same.
Yeah.
You got to turn to this side and taste it and you'll understand what we're talking about. It's amazing coffee because it's espresso. So it's super strong.
Yeah, packed with caffeine.
I mean, it's like taking like 3 shots of like pre-workout. So I don't take pre-workout when I work out.
A little cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's it. The trick.
It's the same way, right? Nostalgia 100%. With the coffee and food, it just reminds you of just like certain foods and coffee just reminds you of growing up and just being at Abuela's house or, you know, something.
100%.
Right?
Yes. I visited in June with my son and it was the same thing. She's up at 6 a.m. and coffee's already ready. And she's sitting on the table and she has her little cheese and crackers. And she's like, do you want some avena? Avena is oatmeal. And she's like, do you want some avena? And I'm like, yeah. My son was like, Ma, I don't want to leave. She's cooking for us every day. And I'm like, yes, that's life. That's life. I was loving every second of it. 5 days of it. I'm like, yes. The best.
Yeah.
My grandma used to make avena, and the texture, I used to be like, as a little kid, like, oh, that looks nasty, and didn't want it. And as I grew up, I missed it more and more, and now I'm just like, I want some of Abuela's avena.
There's nothing like grandparents cooking.
Oh yeah,
nothing like it. Yeah.
This episode is built by the Reimagining Our Community Giving Circle. The ROC Giving Circle is a way for the community to support BIPOC-owned small businesses through collective philanthropy. The Giving Circle is managed by the ROC cohort, and its purpose is to facilitate funding to initiatives that support BIPOC-owned small businesses. To learn more, visit roclancaster.org. So you talked a little bit, your mom, I think, was the one that you said was cooking some of the plates and told you about...
My grandmother.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so tell me about, was she your mentor? Did you have other mentors and role models that kind of helped shepherd you through this journey?
So I would say that my grandmother and my aunt are big influence and positive role models in my life, for sure. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico, and... If you're Hispanic, you will know. Like, we are in the kitchen all day. We are in the kitchen. The first conversation in the morning, any interaction that you do, somehow someone is in the kitchen table, or the dining room table, sitting down while someone is cooking, or you're on the counter sitting down while someone is cooking, or you're in the kitchen cooking with them. Somehow everything involves in a kitchen. Love language is food. Conversations are food. The way to get through your husband's, heart is food. Everything is food.
Yes,
so,
it is.
You see? So I grew up with Food. How do you gather around? Food. How do you have get-togethers and holidays? Food. What are you going to do tomorrow? Food. I mean, everything is food. So it's always been in my mind, always cooking. That was always it for me. But then I think as I got older, I just got so used to cooking that was normal to me. But I never ever thought that I would take this to this level, to be honest. I didn't think that this was going to be what I would do as a career or as a living. It was more of something I enjoyed doing, you know? So when I left my job, the partner that I was with at the moment, he was a big mentor to me, And he kind of, like how I remember it is more like an old school car that just sits around, and that was me. And you look at it and you're like, that car got so much potential. That car got so much potential. And I see it, but for some reason that engine is just not running. And he turned on that engine for me, and he set me free. I mean, and I took off from there. It was more of, I think I needed someone to believe in me, and I don't think I ever believed in myself to think that I could ever do anything like this. But he did that for me, and he always told me, I'm so proud of you. You're an amazing woman. I can't believe you're doing this right now. Like, I don't even believe I'm doing this. I'm this old school car just rolling around. And I'm like, yep, that was me. And that engine just needed to start. I was always in such mommy mode. Like, I'm a mom. I didn't look at me as anything more than just a mom. And that was my life. I thought that I was just a mom, and I was more than that. But I needed to see that and understand that, and I do now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Yeah. Do you have any words of advice for moms who are kind of at home, who have creative, creative specialties, but they don't know how to kind of get started? Like, what would you advise someone who needs that push or would like to get started?
Well, I've given advice because I feel like I'm in your shoes. And, and a lot of us have that mentality of, I'm a mom, or I got to put my life on hold, or I'm not able to do this because I am busy, or, I'm not, and I feel bad because I've seen women that will tell me like, I'm not making enough money with it, or, a lot of people didn't place an order. Don't give up. Don't give up. And I told a friend of mine recently that, don't give up. She said, but Emily, it's just, I didn't get enough order on this week. And I'm like, don't give up. Don't give up. And I said that, I think, a month and a half to her 2 months ago. And she's doing really good now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I think she listened to me. I said, be consistent with it. I think consistency, it's a really big thing being an entrepreneur, being consistent. Let me tell you, people will remember me as the girl who was like, hey, are you placing an order this week? Hey, are you placing an order this week? I would be persistent with it until the moment that they got tired and they're like, you know what, let me just place this order. This girl's not gonna give up. And persistency got me to where I am today. So be dedicated, be committed, and be persistent. Don't give up, because a lot of us don't see result within a few weeks or a few months, and they're like, this is not for me. Is it not for you, or are you just giving up? You never know. That other day might have been, or that other week could have been that day that you made it and you've gotten to the next level, but we give up. Because we want results right away, and that's not how it works. It takes years.
That's true.
And being consistent.
So there's these three ingredients that typically when I see entrepreneurs or successful entrepreneurs are these three ingredients that I usually see. It's commitment, consistency, and focus. I think when I see those three things happen, it's typically see progression. So the commitment part, so you had to quit your job, and what made you want to commit to this? So you mentioned your kids was a big part of that.
My kids will always be a big part to anything and everything. They're my inspiration, my life, my go-to. They wake me up in the morning, not really, but but they get me going. I always see my life as, what am I doing for them? What can I show them as a single mother, as a minority, as coming here without speaking English and never thinking that I would ever be able to do anything with my life besides just being a mom to them. I want to show them that there is possibilities out here, that you can be anything you want, that it is possible to be an individual who is successful, and you can be just amazing. And so I feel like they are that for me.
Yeah.
They are definitely, 100%. They're my everything. They know that.
They better.
Do they know that? She looked at the camera and she said that they better.
As much as they hit you up on your phone.
Yes.
I think that's just a testament that, you know, how much you mean to them, you know, because they trust you and they always want to be by you or hear from you. So I think that's a testament of your love for them and their love for you. So, yeah.
I don't mind that. I love them. I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious, what, if you could look into the future, 5-10 years in the future, where would you want to see Jim's Catering?
Ooh, well,
look into your crystal ball.
Well, I have plans and I have things that I really want to do. So I would like to be able to open the storefront again. I want to be able to have that as a takeout, grab and go, people to come in and just like grab a quick bite, have coffee there. I want to have coffee there.
Okay.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Like I don't want just like a quick coffee. I want to make you a good cup of coffee. So I want to be able to have that as well as pastries. To just a quick grab when you're heading to work. I want to have sandwiches and like little, wraps, and maybe I incorporate meal preps again because I was doing that for a while. And people really enjoy them, but I don't have the time. So I had to stop. So I want to have the storefront. I want to be able to open up a kitchen for catering only, which that's in the works. That's something that it's happening. It's being put on hold because the kitchen is being worked on. So once everything passes, all the inspections go through, then I'm hoping within a few months we'll be able to have that kitchen to open up the storefront. And there's other things, but I feel like they'll come with time. To be honest, I want to involve myself more with the community because I've always been more of a helper. I want to help the homeless. I want to help the families in need. I want to help be an inspiration to other women. I want to be able to somehow be a voice to the ones that feel like they don't have one. And I want to be able to do that. But I've never known how to go about it. So it's taken me this long because I've always been afraid of speaking to people. And now that I am, I think that car's going. I told you, that car is going. So I'm on the fast lane right now. Like, what can I do? What's the next step? What's the next thing? I want to be able to motivate women. And anyone, not just women, but anyone, but primarily me being a woman, of course, and me always having that mentality of I'm a mom.
Definitely.
No, we're more than just mothers. And I want to show that we can be mothers and be amazing and great and be individuals who can conquer anything in this world.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This special podcast episode is built by the Lancaster County Community Foundation, which uses this transformational potential of community-based philanthropy and the power of endowment to help shape a Lancaster County where every individual is valued, has a sense of belonging, and has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you to our friends at the Lancaster County Community Foundation for making it possible to provide access to training and lending for entrepreneurs. That's great. I'm still stuck on, I think it's so cool to see so different types of how you lean on identity, but enhanced identity. So what I mean by that is your culture, being a mother, being a woman, and a woman of color entrepreneur, I think is super inspiring for the community. And I think part of the reason why we named this podcast Built by Us is to show that this community is built by entrepreneurs just like you. And you guys are shaping the way Lancaster feels, the food scene, but beyond that. So it's just cool to see your journey as an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I feel like I said, like a lot of us, and especially being Hispanic and being Puerto Rican, you're to be married, and so it was really different for even my grandmother as you're getting a divorce, so that was a different thing for me to have to deal with. in being in this family whom they're all married. You know, it was different for me to be a single mom. And how are you going to provide for your children as a single mother? Emily, that's not a regular job. You need a 9 to 5. So that was a different thing that I had to deal with in my family.
Yeah.
You know, having to show my kids like, mom is home every day for you, but she also makes money and she also takes care of you. That's different because most of our friends, their moms are at work, you know? So there was so many. I mean, I can go on with the list of the things that I had to just experience, the difference of the way that I was living and the way that I was raising my kids. A lot of people are like, how are you even working? How are you making money? Like, no one understood, you know, and I didn't want anyone to understand. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
As long as my kids were okay and we had a roof over our head, I was completely fine with it. My family now gets it, but it took them a long time to understand, like, yeah, even my sister, she's like, no, I like having a 9 to 5 because I know that I'm going to be bringing this money home. We are so used to and accustomed to that secure money coming in, and mine was not at all. And that to me at times was a little scary, but scary got me this far.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I like a challenge, and I wasn't gonna give up.
Yeah.
It's always interesting thinking about sometimes the older generation and newer generation, because I feel that our parents and grandparents, they were entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
And I think they almost wanted us to go into like the secure, you know, roles. So that when they see us get into this entrepreneurial space, they're just like, what are you doing? You know, like it's almost like they're scared for it. But it's just, I feel like in the DNA of our culture sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it's like, I don't even think they even realize that they're entrepreneurs. We're just not at all.
Yeah.
Like, my grandmother will cook for the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
The only thing is that it was for free. But I mean, she cooked for the whole neighborhood. It was like, hey, Olga, do you need some food for you and your husband? Did you cook today? Carmen, I packed you up some stuff.
Yeah.
She could never cook. And I think that's where I got it from, because she would never cook a small pot for us. No, it was like a big caldero of rice and beans and spaghettis and pork and all this. And we never cooked in small portions. That was impossible. And she never taught me to only cook for us. She always raised us as, who else is going to eat?
Yeah.
Take this plate to her. Take this plate to her. So I got used to that. And that was normal to me, to cater to people.
Yeah.
I had to cater. I was constantly a caterer without even knowing I was a caterer. It was just naturally in us to cook for everyone. So that was super normal growing up.
I'm going to need that on a t-shirt. Who else is going to eat?
Who else is going to eat? Seriously.
Yeah, put that on the t-shirt.
Seriously.
Yeah.
That would be a good t-shirt.
Yeah, because you said two things. I think you said just do it or something. No, that's Nike. Well, you said something.
Nike.
Do it. Hashtag do it.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Seriously. It really is. Like, don't give up.
Exactly.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
A lot of people give up. I don't. I'm persistent.
Yeah.
I don't give up with anything.
And that's what it takes. And I love how you kind of took what, Jamie said, like all these things are in the DNA, especially coming from the older generations. And they have no idea what they're doing. Yeah. And you are observing that, you're growing up with that. Yeah. But you take a little piece of that and you flip it, you evolve it.
Yeah.
And hopefully the next generation can flip it and evolve it.
And
so it's really cool because you're breaking barriers in
Correct.
that way. And you're turning it into a monetary benefit.
Absolutely.
That is helping you and your family grow, and hopefully, the next generation can take that on as well. But I love that,
Thank you.
Taking what you learned from the previous generation and just evolving it.
And
to
I think
the
that's
next
the
step.
goal, and that should be the goal for all of us.
Exactly.
Not to remain stuck in the same and just follow that cycle, but what can I do to continue the great part of the cycle and break the other?
Yeah.
So I think that's big for me when it comes to that, because my father died when I was young. So I grew up without a dad. And to me, it was more like, what can I do psychologically speaking of like teaching my daughter that we can be women, individuals. My mom was a single mother. I am a single mother. And to me, it was like, what can I teach my daughter? What can I teach my daughter? How can I break these cycles?
Right.
What can we do? My grandmother was a single mother. So I feel like it's something that I wanted to break. Like, I was constantly with the thought of, psychologically speaking, what can I do to break the cycles of poor, of living day to day, of paycheck by paycheck, of not being able to make ends meet, of playing victim, of, it's just things that I wanted to break for the next generation. And I know that it could take maybe another generation, but at least I started it.
Exactly.
And I think that will be a good thing because it takes a long time for generations to break cycles. And I could live with that. But I think I started something. I turned on the lighter there and I turned on the fire. So hopefully it takes off with my daughter. That's the goal. And my son. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you kind of had some examples of, or desires of getting more involved with the community. Are there ways that you're currently involved with the community already that you'd like to share?
Well, I actually am doing a dinner this upcoming Sunday with about, I think, 22 or 23 women signed up.
Okay.
Including small business owners, as well as some women from PNC, some women that are into like women, inspiring. And we're all going to gather together and I'm hosting a dinner with them.
I love that.
So we can kind of see how we can collab together and how can we help each other out. One has a venue, another, I'm a caterer, another one is a baker, another one is a banker. What can we do to help each other out? How can I help you? How can we as women grow, in this community? Because there's more than enough room for all of us. So that's my first one. And I'm hoping that if it goes well, which I know it will, that I'll be able to do another one in 4 months or so and make it even bigger and just help each other out. So I think that's something that I would love to continue.
Yeah, continue and grow because that's what's needed, really. So many entrepreneurs feel like they're in it alone and they don't know who to reach out. So I love that you and these other women entrepreneurs are creating this safe space, this environment to collab, to convene, share ideas, because that's what it really takes for
growth. I feel like I feel like how I see it is there's no competition. There's no animosity. There's no hate. There's more like love. We are women and we are powerful and we are amazing. And there is so much money out here for all of us. There's no greediness here. I want all of us to grow as much as and how I see it is also as well, like I didn't have anyone to kind of guide me because I was so scared I didn't think I was going to grow my business this far. So how I saw it is I don't want any assistance. I didn't have no grants. I didn't have no help. I didn't have no assets. I didn't know about assets until a few months ago. I didn't know about Lancaster Alliance. I didn't know about all the help from the city that could be provided to me. I want them to have that.
Yeah.
I want them to have that. I want them to know all of it and more. So I'm inviting even an attorney who is going to come in and talk about legally stuff that you can get. I'm bringing PNC so that they can talk about, stuff that they could get. I'm having, sure Chelsea will be there as well.
Okay.
She'll be also guiding them of what can we help you here in assets. I want them to get all of it because I got it. And when I got it, I was like, I need them to know this because I wish I would have had that before. It's my fault because I remained under a rock for so long. I was really afraid. I didn't think that I would get this far as I said. So, but I want them to have that drive. I want them to take off with it and say, I could do this, and knowing that there's so many people around them saying you can, it'll get you going.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, and that's a huge gap I think between entrepreneurs and even resource providers that Lancaster County has so many resources, but we don't either do enough outreach to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs aren't aware of the resource that exists. So the more that they can see the entrepreneurs that look like them doing this stuff,
correct,
very good. And then also making sure that there are resource providers that have the tools they need to be successful.
Right.
So so glad that you're doing that together.
Yeah.
So say I want to host a party. I have this big menu. I have 50 guests, and I need a caterer. How do I get in contact with you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is through my website. We have 3 different menus, basically: a wedding menu, a catering menu, and then the grazing table charcuterie. Okay. So when you go to each individual one, depending on what you're interested in, then it has a contact form underneath it asking you all the questions that I will be asking you if you call me. So you can either call me, which honestly, sometimes it's not the best way because my hands are full and I'm the cook. So, I would say an email or going through my website and requesting the appropriate and whichever one it is that you want. It asks you how many guests, what it is, the menu that you're interested in, etc. Those questions will be emailed to me. And usually I respond pretty quick. At least that's what they tell me. Yeah. So, and that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And what's your website?
gemscatering.com.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. We'll make sure we link that up.
Yep. It'll be in the show notes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah. Emily, thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome. I'm glad I was here.
Thanks for joining us on this flavorful adventure today. I hope you enjoyed our exploration into the world of family-owned businesses and culinary excellence with the incredible Emily Gonzalez of Jim's Catering.
Absolutely, Kirsten. Emily's journey is nothing short of inspiring, from mastering the art of cooking to transforming it into a thriving family business. It's fascinating to see how she has built her business from the ground up.
And speaking of exciting culinary stories, don't forget to stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be sitting down with Chef Oliver Say, the visionary owner of Homage Cuisines of the West African diaspora. This is the Built by Us podcast, brought to you by Assets. Visit us at assetspa.org to learn more about the products and services we provide. And you can follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube.